Hey guys, how you doing? This is Dave Grega. Thanks so much for joining me for Way of the Warrior Episode 3. I'm really excited to get this out to you, but first, I have to give a proper introduction to our guest, Todd White of Dry Farm Wines, because we had a little technical difficulties and the video sort of starts abruptly without getting a proper intro. So, Todd White, I'm excited to have him for you guys. I mean, really, it's a privilege. He's a good friend of mine. We're in the same biohacking mastermind group together. I consider him a mentor, a fellow Renaissance man, philosopher, biohacker, meditator, and he is in the wine industry as well. In particular, he's an evangelist for the power and the health benefits of natural wines and how you can live a healthy life and consume wine. And in particular, talks about the differences between what natural wines are and the differences between natural wines and what you might find at the store. And he has been spreading this message all over. If you know anything about the health, wellness community, biohacking, ketogenic, low carb, all this kind of community on YouTube or iTunes, these podcasts, he has been on a who's who list of the top best of the best podcasts, and for good reason. He's a very interesting guy. He has a really cool, unique message that he is getting out there, and people are responding to it. So I'm really thankful for his time. And we spent a good amount of time in this conversation. You guys are going to get so much out of. And we don't just talk about natural wines and his company, but we also go into, again, meditation and the power of meditation. And we have conversations that are very philosophical about life and some spiritual type of practices. We also go into talking about the ketogenic diet or a high-fat diet, low-carb diet, and the benefits of that. And just a great conversation loaded with lots of awesome takeaways. In the description, I'm going to put a link to Dry Farm Wines and how to get a hold of Todd. And I'm also going to put at the bottom of the description some timestamps so that you can see kind of when we talk about certain topics, because it is a long conversation. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I want to say thank you for being here. Subscribe to my channel if you like it, if you like the content. Give a thumbs up as well. That helps get these videos out there. Share this video on social media with anybody you think might benefit from it. That's the whole point, is that we all share with each other. We all learn and grow together. So without further ado, we'll get right into the video, and we start off with a great conversation with Todd White.
And I know that anybody watching this video, the reason I want to have you on here is because anybody watching this video, whether you're talking about what you do with your company, with Dry Farm Wines, whether you're talking about meditation, biohacking, ketogenic diet, you have so much to offer people and so much people can learn from you. And I know I've learned a lot from you, and that's why I really wanted you to be here right now so that I can share that with everybody else.
You know what? There's just a lot to share, and it's the great privilege and honor of what I do daily is teach people how to optimize their life. And so it's just a great opportunity. As you know, I'm a frequent guest on well-known podcasts like the Bulletproof Radio, Mark Sisson, Rob Wolf, Abel James, Jimmy Moore. I've kind of made all the circuit
like the dream team.
Life optimization, talking about ketogenic and meditation and biohacking, intermittent fasting, and of course what we do with natural wines, right, and serving people health food in a bottle.
Right.
So, and as you and I have talked many times about kind of what's happened with wines and where wines are at and what we drink personally, and it just makes a big difference in the type of wine you're drinking. So that's my day job, but the rest of the time, I just, love helping people to learn and think about how to optimize their life. And I know you've done a tremendous amount of work in this area, and sometimes just get down and technical. And you're the supplement king, and we've talked supplements. And so anyway, it's going to be a fun discussion. I'm glad we finally got a chance to connect. As you know, we've missed each other 3 times trying to do this this recording. But here we are, Saturday.
Well, I want to start out by talking about your company, Dry Farm Wines, and just kind of talking a little bit about, I know you've been talking about it all the time. I don't think you get tired of talking about it because it's something you're passionate about, but just let people know, what is it? What is that all about? What's that whole mission that you got going on there?
So Dry Farm Wines is a health food company. We sell health food in a bottle.
Okay.
We sell 100% organic and biodynamically farmed and naturally made wines. Now, there's two parts of the equation there. There's the farming on one side, and as our name indicates, all of our wines are also irrigation free. Okay. We can come back to that in a moment, but they're all dry farmed. All the family farms that we represent are, most of them are in Europe. There's a handful scattered around the world. We're not presently working with any California winemakers. Okay. So we work with small family farms who either biodynamically or organically farm. And then in the cellar, which is the second part of the equation, they have a very low intervention winemaking protocol that includes the use of no new oaks, limited macerations, low tannins, low bioamine, all native yeast. So it's just a very clean, natural product. I'm sure most of your listeners or viewers are familiar with the natural wine movement. Tremendous amount of traction primarily in Europe at the moment, although there are a handful of California winemakers who practice natural winemaking. Sure. Our primary marketplace has been the health forward-looking marketplace. Ketogenic Diet, or Paleo market. We're the official wine for the Paleo FX, which is the largest paleo conference in the world. We're the official wine for Bulletproof Conference, which is the most important and largest biohacking conference in the world. We're also wine sponsor for high-performance executive conferences like Peter Diamandis' A360 Abundance, Joe Polish's Genius Network. So not only do we appeal to the health forward-looking market, but we also appeal to the executive performance market who wants to be able to enjoy wine and still wake up in the morning with no remnants or after effects, no hangovers. There's a whole bunch of reasons for why you feel better on these wines. But one of the primary reasons is that all of our wines are 12.5% and below in alcohol. So we don't sell any wines over 12.5% alcohol. Right. So as you know, the difference between 12.5 and 15 doesn't sound like a lot, but it has a tremendous effect on your body and, more importantly, on your mind. So I think it has perhaps a more profound effect on people who are already nutritionally tuned up, if you will, right? So as you know, once you purge your body of toxins and poisons like refined carbohydrates and sugar and omega-6 and soy oils, and once you get out of this, once you become clean in your nutritional practices, your body is very adaptive, just like it adapts to processing the poisons, and you feel okay while you're poisoned. You don't really know how bad you feel until you become clean, right? Because the body's super adaptive. Well, when you adapt to a clean lifestyle and clean nutritional programming, when you subject your body to poisons, and alcohol is a toxin, when you subject your body to poisons, you're just more sensitive to the outcome. And so with our product being super clean of chemical, as you know, there's 76 additives approved by the FDA for the use in winemaking in America. There are 56 in Europe. So these wines are 100% additive free, and nearly all of them are no sulfur added. There are a handful of winemakers that we work with that do add a little sulfur, but most of the wines don't even have any SO2 added. So they're super clean, no enzyme adjustments, no acid adjustments, nothing. It's just real, whole, natural wine. So anyway, as a result, we're endorsed by virtually every health influencer on the planet.
Yeah, well,
and that's how we sell wine.
That whole, just the health conscious market is growing rapidly, and seems like more people know what paleo is, more people know what fasting is, and all this kind of stuff. And the thing is, the more mainstream it becomes, the more people are going to say, well, hey, I want to go out in a situational thing, and I want to bring a bottle of wine to dinner, but how can I do that and still live this more optimal lifestyle or healthier lifestyle? And you're providing a solution for that and saying, look, alcohol is alcohol, but there's all this other stuff that you don't really know that you're drinking that may be affecting you, and here's how to do it so that we can still live a healthy life and be able to still be situational and and go out and have a drink with friends and that kind of thing. And I think that appeals. The more we can do that for people, the more we can get more people on board with just living a generally healthier lifestyle, which is good for the whole world.
Well, also the farming practices are great for the planet. You and I had lunch recently. I almost never drink during the daytime because I don't want to shut my fat burning off. However,
I don't know. I see your Instagram. I don't.
That's all evening post, but we had lunch with Aran Healy at Ruby Wine in the city, who's the most talented, amazing palate in the natural wine business in San Francisco, in my view. Has a terrific shop, and but anyway, he brought a bottle of wine that was 11.5 or 12% alcohol, super clean, all natural. I mean, it's just amazing the way it tastes and how it makes you feel and how it doesn't make you feel.
Yeah, I went to so Aran, him and I met in 2008 at sommelier school together. We ended up becoming business partners together, starting our two wine brands. So I am very familiar with Aran, and I'm very proud of him. He's a really passion-filled guy, kind of like you, is trying to help people and is really just into what he's doing. And I'll go to his shop at Ruby Wine, and I'll just get a mixed case of natural wines. And I've been putting them in my fridge, and I bring them to winemaker, when I go to barbecues and this and that, and everyone's drinking the Napa wines, and I'll bring my natural wines. And I'll tell you, sure, there are a few that, they just taste different from what you would normally think of a white wine or a red wine. But there are a lot. I had a Pinot Noir. I don't remember where it was from. And it was maybe 11.5 or 12% alcohol. And it was excellent for a Pinot. Period. Not natural wine. I mean, it was a beautiful wine, and I'm just thinking. And I felt I had a glass and a half or something, which for me is a lot. I don't drink a lot, anything more than a glass, and I'm real sensitive to that. So I had a glass and a half, and I felt great. I felt hydrated and had perfect energy in the morning. And usually I kind of wake up with a little bit of a headache if I have a couple glasses. Even I'm just, for some reason, my tolerance isn't there. And yeah, I've been drinking more natural wines, to be honest with you. What's that?
I drink a bottle to a bottle and a half a night. So I'm maybe not as sensitive as you are.
No, I don't think so. If you were, it's weird. I can't do. Ever since I did the lower carb thing, especially coffee and alcohol, I have to in moderation, which is fine.
Man, when you get clean, listen, your body adapts to that, and it starts rejecting these exogenous forces. It's to be able to control your impact and influence your biology and your neurology, is so amazing. And that's really kind of the central theme around biohacking and the art and science of influencing your biological and neurological outcome based on your behavior. And most of our behaviors are around how we think and what we eat and drink. Right. Those are the most impactful contributions we can make to our biological and neurological. In my case, I'm also interested in anti-aging, so really want to stop that clock.
Me too. Yeah.
Right? And inflammation is really what's aging us, and all of these processed foods and all these exogenous poisons are what are accelerating aging and weight gain and hormonal imbalance. And 80 million type 2 diabetics in the country right now, type 2 pre-diabetic. It's just been an explosion of metabolic health and metabolic diseases. And as you know, one of the things that's just so amazing about how we've been able to educate each other, if it weren't for Facebook, right? So Facebook really allows for folks to share across a wide audience and to repost and to share these important health data, because you're not going to get high quality health data. You're not going to get high quality information generally from your doctor. Right, your doctor knows virtually nothing about nutrition.
No, it's bad. Yeah.
And your doctor still believes that cholesterol causes cardiovascular disease in most cases,
which still believe that,
which is simply not true.
Yeah.
Right, and so there's just So if you're going to really learn and study and understand what's happening at the edge of science or at the truth of science, you're going to get that from Facebook or the internet. You're not going to get that from the traditional medical community.
Yeah. It's been interesting. I've noticed that, there's a pride thing in there. Nobody wants to, it's a very sensitive thing, because what you're doing is when you say, you know what, I want to try this, or I want to try fasting, or I want to try a high fat diet, you're basically saying something's wrong with me now. And that's a hard thing for people to I have metabolic damage. I am not eating a healthy diet. You sort of have to admit, it's kind of like saying, okay, I have a problem, I need to fix it. But that's, the ego gets wrapped up in that, and people don't like to do that. So I've noticed that people have been even kind of making fun of me and that kind of stuff, like not in a mean way, but just sort of, eye roll kind of thing. And then they'll come to me offline, and say, hey, the past 12 months I've been watching, and, I tried this, I've been trying to do this, and you know what, I've lost 10 pounds and I feel a lot better, and, thank you. And I'm like, oh, okay. Or I'll just, they'll they'll see that I'm not trying to preach necessarily. I'm trying to share my experience, because it's been such a life-changing thing for me. And so I'm coming from that place of just love, and I just really want to share how I feel. I'm not trying to pass a judgment on anyone. If you eat a high carb diet with processed foods, I'm not going to try to make you to shame you. I'm just coming from a place of like, look, I was here, now I'm here, and gosh, I wish that everyone, that's in a similar situation could feel this way. And I'm just sharing that. And I find that, and people will kind of give me the eye roll thing, but then I've noticed it's like a lot of people, all of a sudden, even people I would least expect are just like, hey man, for the past 12 months, I've been watching this and I've been trying this. And I even came over to my friend's house who was so like, oh, I just eat fried food and I like my, biscuits and gravy and this and that. And I start looking around, he's starting to look better, in better shape. And I'm like, oh, you're doing great. Okay. I didn't say anything. And I came over to his house and I started looking around, and he's got all the same foods that I have. And I'm like, I'm looking at all the foods that you have, and I'm like, I know you're fasting. I know you're eating a high fat diet. Like everything here is organic and like high quality fats, and like all the foods it's basically a ketogenic setup. And I'm like, I know what you used to have in your pantry, and I know what you have now, and you don't have to admit it to me. I haven't said anything to this person, but I know, so I don't care how the change happens. But through Facebook, through people seeing on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, I've really noticed that even if they don't come out and say, hey, thanks for the info, Dave, that people are watching and they're seeing the results, and I'm much happier, and I'm living a much better life, and people are seeing it, and they're seeing it over a long period of time now. It's been 2 years since I've had this change. You've had this great change for even longer than that. And it's like the proof's in the pudding, and people get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they finally just go, all right, what's this freaking guy doing,
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been CKD, which is cyclically ketogenic, for probably 5 or 6 years. I've been in full-time ketosis for about 2 years. And so, but all of my friends, I dine constantly at places and with people who eat a standard American diet, what I like to refer to as the SAD diet, the standard American diet.
I love that.
And so it's, I dine around it all the time. I don't mention it to people. They can obviously see I eat differently. My friends obviously know I eat differently. And when you're in a restaurant with me, you can obviously see I eat a ton of fat. Mm-hmm. And about 75 to 80% of my caloric intake is healthy fats. Mm-hmm. And so when you eat and consume that much fat, it's very obvious that you're eating fat. I'm going to decline a call here that just came in. Goodbye. Oh. And
popular guy.
So it's not about judgment. I don't even correct people. I don't try and educate them when I'm dining with them. If they ask, and if I can be helpful or answer questions, but I never, ever say, oh, you shouldn't be eating that. I mean, because everyone has to arrive at this destination of change. And you and I have talked about this, and you've written posts on this topic. Most people find change to elevate and optimize their life from desperation, not inspiration. So most people have to get to a breaking point, and it's not even bad health usually that will take them there. It's usually some kind of failed event or really a life-changing health event. But even for sick people, you don't see them change their ways.
Right.
So generally, someone has to get to really the darkest, deepest, dark place before they'll embrace change that optimizes their life, right? And it's so again, most people make this change and elevate to life optimization through some sort of desperation. It's usually not inspiration. So there's nothing I can say, preach or evangelize to them that's going to cause them to change until inside they have usually this dark moment that causes them to just say, I'll try anything, I'll do anything to improve this situation.
Yeah, I that's why I try to share my story, because I was in such a desperate place mentally, physically, in every way possible, and I just try to share that with people so that they know that that's where I was, so that because I understand that if I try to go after them and try to it's like get hey that's just not going to work. They're going to push away even. And so if and when you get there, and I hope you don't, but if you do, you know of me, you know of my story. And just knowing that there's somebody else that was at that place and that it's possible to come out of that, I think can help people. And because I love people. I've always had a very strong empathetic gene. My dad has that. His dad before him, my son has it. Just runs in our family. Like, we're all doctors and firefighters, and I joined the military, and I hate bullies. I don't, and it's like I see people suffering and I want to help them, but like you said, if you go and try to help them, you might push them away or make it even worse. So I try to just share, say, and be as honest and open as I can. This is where I was. This is what I thought and felt. And, I was dying. Seriously. I was dying in many different ways. And now I came out of that, and I'm just sharing that. I'm not trying to judge anybody. And I've noticed that people will kind of hit these lows, and then they'll come to me and say, like I mentioned before, I've been trying this. I finally got to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore, and I started trying some of the things that you were talking about, and so I'm trying to now switch my brain from that instinct to try to help and like heal and put my arm around people, and trying to be more of just be the change I want to see, and not, like you do, and you do. I do basically a low carb paleo with a couple days of a ketogenic days in there. So it's sort of a cyclical-ish keto. I'm probably on that 65 to 75% fat, depending on the day kind of thing. So you're a little more onto the ketosis side. But yeah, when I see you, it's kind of just like, look, you're ordering what you want, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're not passing judgment on anybody. I'm the same way. Someone orders the big sandwich and the fries. I don't say anything, good for you, whatever. It's not going to, they're not going to go, oh, you know what? Yeah, no bun, please. They're not going to do that. They're going to order extra fries just to say,
sure,
screw you. And so it is what it is. And I think that's great. I never felt, when I wasn't doing the ketogenic thing, and I was doing pretty high carb, but I was doing intermittent fasting. I first met you, our first meeting. I was not doing any low carb at all. I didn't feel judged. I watched you take that broccolini at Farmstead and pour the olive oil, and can I please have a little more olive oil? And it came back in a little saucer, and of course at Farmstead they're great, but they're a little more stingy with because their olive oil is super good, So and you asked like 6 times, and it was like she had to come back 6 times. You're like, look, just get me a bucket of olive oil, like please, and some butter. And they kept bringing you little saucers, and you'd pour the saucer, and you'd ask for another little saucer, and you'd pour it. And I was like, look, can you just get him a cup of olive oil? And it was kind of great. I was like, I can't believe he actually eats like that. And I looked at you, and you told me your story. And how old are you? You're 50 something?
5.
55. I was like, and I was looking at you, and you just have this energy, and you look great, and you're positive. And I saw what you were eating, and it was just a bucket of olive oil and broccolini and some chicken or something. I think, a little chicken breast or whatever. And I was like, okay, that's what set it off in my mind. Like, all right, that was like the seeing is believing, And I was like, okay, if he can do this and look like this and, be this optimal and be eating this way, there's something to the high fat thing. And that actually got me seriously looking into it. I'm the kind of person that when I get into something, I get into it hardcore. I do a lot of research, and I dove into a lot of research, started reading everything, and I ended up trying it. And, I had some mishaps, but now I don't think I'll ever go back to a non-low carb lifestyle. I may have times in my life where I'm, more ketogenic than not. But the problem with ketogenic, and that I didn't see coming, is that once you're in ketosis and you feel the cognitive benefits, it's hard to go back to a glucose-fueled brain because...
Dude, the cognitive benefits
it's like, fuck.
Are like just indescribable. I did some exogenous ketones just recently at the Paleo FX conference. So the booth next to me, these guys are selling these ketone ester salts that you eat, well, you drink, and they have this product called Prove It. And so anyway, I do daily blood testing for ketone production. I mean, I'm more fanatical than the average. So, because I want to know kind of where my ketone levels are. But anyway, so I did a blood analysis of my ketones at their booth, and then I drank these ester salts. And then about 90 seconds later, man, you could just feel this rush across the top of your head. And my ketones increased 50% from their product in about 30 minutes, which is pretty amazing. I'm not sure that I'm not sure I would necessarily use the product on a regular basis, but because I stay in ketosis nutritionally, and every time I can stay in a whole natural food type or a whole natural state without influencing that with anything kind of refined, synthetic, or manufactured, I prefer to stay in a whole natural state.
Right. Yeah.
Like I prefer to get my MCTs from coconut oil as opposed to an MCT oil, right? Because it's just an unrefined whole product.
Right.
But most people begin ketosis or experiment with ketosis, as I did. Most people experiment with ketosis to lose weight because it's absolutely, bar none, scientifically proven, high-fat diet will shred weight off of you quicker than about anything. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk about dieting in a moment, but it shreds weight faster than any other diet, scientifically proven. Low carb, high fat is the quickest way to lose weight and have that weight loss be sustainable. As you know, the other really interesting aspect of being on a low carb, high fat diet is that you're never hungry. Right? And so when I tell people, listen, when you're ketogenic, you have to almost remind yourself to eat. Now, of course, I haven't eaten since 6 o'clock last night. I'm in a fasted state and do intermittent fasting daily, typically for 16 to 20-hour windows.
Yeah, sound the same.
So, right, and so I haven't, and I'm not hungry. I mean, I will go eat in an hour or two, but it's not because I'm driven to eat. So anyway, in the ketogenic diet, most people begin it to lose weight, but the reason you maintain it and you just don't go back is for the cognitive benefits, right? And the way it treats you, even if you have mood swings, like I can suffer from used to suffer from darker moments, some slight depression, all of that is gone, right? So the neurological benefits and the neurological studies that are going on and the cancer studies right now, it's now believed that many cancers feed on glycogen to survive. Right, and so when you are on a glucose-free diet and you have no glucose to burn, the thought is that this will stave off and even kill certain types of cancer tumors. That being said, on dieting, it's very interesting. I just want to comment on this for a moment because the government still promotes this message. The diet community is still promoting this message. the message that you need to eat less and move more. Mm-hmm. In other words, calories in, calories out. Well, we just know that is a highly flawed concept.
Yeah.
Weight gain is hormonal. It has nothing to do with energy burn. Mm-hmm. In fact, going to the gym has very little to do with weight loss. So people think they're going to be able to work out more and lose weight. That's just simply not true.
Most times it contributes to weight gain with all the stress people have in their life.
It does. And the problem with calorie restriction, I have no idea what my calorie intake is. I don't count it. I don't care. What I care about is the quality of calories and what type of calories am I consuming. Mm-hmm. That's what's important. Am I driving hormones that are going to lead to weight storage, right, to fat storage, or am I driving weight burning? I don't give a shit about calories, mm-hmm, right? I mean, I couldn't tell you within 1,000 calories how many calories a day I eat. Here's what happens when the body goes into restrictive calorie diets. Then the body, evolutionarily, ancestrally, believes that you're starving. And if the body believes you're starving, it's going to slow down fat burning, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, right? So calorie restriction simply doesn't work. We've got to keep our calorie intake high if we want to lose weight. The question is, where are those calories coming from? Yeah, right? Now, exercise has, as you know, exercise has many, many, many benefits, sure, many hormonal benefits, mm-hmm, many psychological benefits. I work out for mental power, mm-hmm, and in addition to wanting to maintain lean body mass as I age and the hormonal benefits of exercise. But the main reason to exercise is for mental power, mm-hmm, and your mental health. That's the main thing I gain from exercise. But weight loss is not a benefit of exercise, generally speaking. You may lose a little bit of weight, but and if it's combined with calorie restriction, you're more likely to gain weight.
Yeah. I had a whole experience where I went through the full cycle of all of that, just the progression. I started the classic bodybuilder diet and like real calorie counting for over a year and all that. And you know what I learned is that food is information, not nutrition. So food's really information for your body. And I started looking into epigenetics, the expression of genes, what tells our cells, how to, what to do, what kind of action to take. And it's the hormones that attach to the little receptor sites on the cells that tell that cell, here's what's going on in the external environment. So you need to do this, or act this way. And then that creates, at a cellular level, our body and our health and all of that. And so, food is information, and also your external environment. I mean, the reason you get stronger and maintain muscle mass and all that is because you're stressing your body. You're telling your body, hey, we need to keep some muscle mass on. We need to whatever. We need to be good at using fat for fuel because we don't know when we're going to have more food and we don't want to wither away. Our bodies want to survive. And we can work with them to try to give them the information they need to perform optimally and to allow us to be free. And you're absolutely right. I used to really believe that it was calories in, calories out, but food is information. And the calories you put into your body, what are those calories telling your body at a cellular level about your environment and about how they need to manifest and what they need to do? What information are they giving? And then that also ties in, and I'd like to talk about this too with you. I'm really into the mind-body connection and spirituality. I don't like that word. It's very charged with has a lot of stuff attached to it. But a spiritual practice, meditation, and the mind-body connection, and how just like food is information, your emotional state, kind of how you touched on your emotional state. And how your mind and your feelings and your stress levels and all that basically will show through your body. They'll tell you, but your body will follow those and how they affect you and your life and how everything is kind of in one big cycle. So the more I go into biohacking, which I love, and I love experimenting, the more I realize you can't do that without the other side. And I know you're a big meditator. I'm really into meditation now. You've been doing it longer than I have, as far as a regular practice. And I don't know, maybe you can comment on meditation, your experience, and the mind-body connection and all that.
I speak a lot about this across the country, but meditation, from my point of view, is the single most important biohack on the planet. Meditation is the single most important addition to an adult life. What meditation does is it allows you the space to listen. See, the music happens between the notes. Mm-hmm. And when you can listen to silence and gain that peace that only meditation can bring you, we all have lives filled with anxiety. Mm-hmm. And so what we need to do, we all have this internal voice, right? We all have this internal voice, and this voice speaks to us all the time, and we must quiet down this voice, or we end up in oftentimes the trance of self-loathing. I'm not enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not successful enough. I'm not thin enough. I'm not tall enough. Whatever your not enough is, right? So we get constantly caught up in this mind chatter, thinking about the past or having anxiety about the future, right? Instead of enjoying the present moment. What meditation does in a regular meditation practice is it teaches you and trains your mind to be quiet and to enjoy the present moment. The other thing that it does, when you shut down that inner voice, and that inner voice for most of us is about criticism. It's about self-criticism, right? There are two kinds of criticism. There's that internal narrative that you tell yourself, right? I'm not good enough, or I shouldn't have done that, or I can't believe the fuck I did that, or, right. Whatever that internal narrative of who we tell ourselves that we are. Oftentimes for most of us, that's about a lot of self-criticism. It's quiet, but it's constant. Mm-hmm. It's speculated that we have about 60,000 thoughts a day. The problem is 95% of them are the same thoughts we had yesterday, right? So we've got to quiet down that inner voice and that inner critic. The second critic is the outer critic. That's everyone out there who's going to be critical of the work I do, or the fact that I'm in natural wines and I don't sell California wine, or they're going to be critical of my diet, or critical of the fact that I speak and evangelize. Those are external critics, right? With external critics, if you're going to do anything in your life, if you're going to contribute anything, if you're going to change anything, if you're going to improve anything, you're going to be criticized. That's just the nature of the beast, right? And so the first thing we have to do if we're going to contribute to change or be leader or change ourselves is learn that we just have to accept that criticism is just a part of that process, right? If you don't want to be criticized, don't do anything. Mm-hmm. It's easy. If you can't face criticism, just don't do anything, right? But external criticism comes at us. That typically happens. These people don't generally know anything about who you are or what your values are. Mm-hmm. They see something about your outside story that makes their inside uncomfortable. And therefore, they have to criticize you.
Yeah. It's like attacking.
That's what gives them that relief. Mm-hmm. And again, after a while, and everybody who's in this public sphere, after a while, you just condition yourself to ignore it. And meditation helps a lot with that too. So meditation helps you sort of quiet everything down. The other thing that I find meditation is very valuable for is meditation opens up channels to receive abundance, opens channels to receive gifts from the universe. And I want to touch on this universe idea for a moment, because you talked about spirituality. Spirituality is a charged word. Religion is a charged word. Mm-hmm. These things mean different things to different people, and I look at energy in the universe and gifts and abundance that comes to each of us if we are open and have space to receive it. And when our mind is filled with judgment, and our mind is filled with criticism of ourselves or others, and this is what meditation helps really quiet that down, right? When we become when we fill our life with appreciation and not expectation, right? And we can do that by using meditation to quiet down that constant chatter that we have going on, which, as I said, is normally self-critical. This chatter or this consumption with what happened in the past or the anxiety of what happens in the future. All of that noise clogs up the channel that receives your abundance from the universe. And when I say abundance from the universe, let me talk about the universe for a second and its power. When I know that power in the universe, and some may call it God, some may call it whatever their label for it, I just see that there's a universal power out in the universe that touches all of us. I use this example quite often to describe it. You know how you'll be thinking about someone, you haven't seen them in a month, maybe 6, and you're thinking about them, and they call 5 minutes later, right? There's a connection there. Something's happening there.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, that's not coincidental. No. And this happens all the time. Or even if it's with a close friend and, and they call or send you a text message and you're like, oh my God, I was just thinking about you. Right? That's not coincidental. So there's some power there. There's some universal power. We don't know what it is that kind of connects the dots. Right? And so when we believe, we receive. See? And so in order to believe and to have space within our internal universe to accept gifts, and those gifts come to us in many ways, but sometimes they can be business success, sometimes they can be meeting someone, sometimes they can just be a moment of present pleasure. Like I know you, probably like I never drive down the valley floor in the Napa Valley. Not a single day do I ever drive down the Napa. Ever since the day I moved here 16 years ago, not a single day do I drive down the valley floor that I don't think how beautiful it is. And
sometimes
that I have
get
the opportunity.
To tears. I get teary-eyed from the explosion of just it's
beauty.
It's ridiculous. It's almost too much to consume.
It's just ridiculous. And so just just taking a moment when your mind is clear and you're living in the present, and you've used meditation to quiet the mind and to be ready to receive those gifts, you might just look across and see a tree or a cloud. And just for that moment, you're just living presently saying, oh, wow, that's just fucking beautiful, right? And I just want to spend a moment or two in that beauty, right? You can do that when you're in the present moment. Right. And so meditation quiets that internal voice that just is filled with chatter all the time. It also helps with sleep. I found a material increase in my memory through meditation. I found a material increase in my memory through ketogenic. But meditation really helped me sleep better. And when I do wake up, which is not often anymore, but when I do wake up in the middle of the night, I'm just able to quiet my mind through a meditative practice of breath while I'm laying in bed. And, 5 or 10 minutes, I'm back to sleep. Segmented sleep, waking up in the middle of the night and having segmented sleep is not unusual, it's not unhealthy, and it's not abnormal. No. It happens to everyone. The question is, what do we do during that segment? Do we become obsessed with our anxiety? Do we become obsessed with business or problems with other people? Or are we able to turn off that chatter? And meditation teaches you to turn that chatter off by focusing on breath and presence. It doesn't happen overnight. The problem with meditation is most people feel like they're failing when they begin, right? You know how difficult it is. I mean, it's like, I can't stop thinking. Well, that's the reason they call it a practice, right? Oh. It's a meditation practice. Yep. And you're going to have to meditate for a long time and, frankly, on a regular basis and for more than 5 or 10 minutes in order to get real benefit. So I meditate. Well, my total meditation practice is 40 minutes, but daily, every morning, first thing I do when I get up. Now, not all of that is pure quiet meditation. I'm doing 20 minutes of breath fitness, like Wim Hof method, warrior breathing. So I'm doing 20 minutes of breath fitness. While I think meditation is the number one biohack of all time, I think breath work and breath fitness is the most underrated biohack of all time. When we focus,
breath is life. Control your breath. Control your life. End of story.
Breath is spirit. And I also like to say, I love the proverb, if the mind is the kite, the breath is the string. Mm-hmm. And so we really control our thinking and by doing breath fitness and breath work, which is hard, it's like doing any kind of fitness. Mm-hmm. It's resistance training. And when you do focused breath work, it's just such an elevation throughout your day of thought of breath and control of breath and the spirit of life. So anyway, I do about 20 minutes of breath fitness and then about 20 minutes of quiet meditation and then some yoga work. For the people who say, and you hear this most commonly, people say, I don't have time to meditate, right? Well, the people who don't have time to meditate are the people who need meditation most.
Yeah.
Right? And so but meditation it's you can learn online, you can do practice. It's very hard in the beginning. I think it's very hard. I saw immediate benefits day one. I started meditating in a very, very dark, very, very dark time of my life. And so I saw immediate benefit because I was in just a very, very dark place. And then I saw another sort of elevated benefit after about 2 weeks. And then after several months of meditation, I began to really see extraordinary universal benefit. Yeah. And now I have, I would say, only a handful of times during the week, a handful of times, will I have any sort of moment of chatter, and I immediately shut it down. Immediately I'm able to, I don't have any of that anxiety or those fears or those internal critic messages. I just don't have those anymore. And if I'd had them, I wouldn't be able to do the work that I do, right? Because you have to speak from a voice and a place of authenticity. When you're out evangelizing about meditation and ketogenic diet and breath work and life optimization through biohacking, you got to walk the talk, right? Or people see through that. They know that you're not authentic, right? And so anyway, but meditation and I think it's so important. It's so very important for us to open those channels of peace and quiet that allow us to receive gifts from the universe. And those gifts, as I said, are sometimes you just don't even, you just a moment and feeling present in some kind of beauty and peace of mind is a gift. But until we open that channel to receive those gifts, we simply don't get them. Not in the abundance that we deserve. Everyone deserves gifts from the universe. What we do, let me say one other thing about this just for a second, because this is really important.
Absolutely.
This is really important. When we complain about being busy, when we complain about our abundance, when we complain about having too much to do or having to talk to a customer after hours, every time we complain about abundance, we're sending energy out to the universe that says, I don't want any more of this. I want you to shut that down for me, right? So when I'm trying to have lunch and a customer calls, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and take that call because I'm thankful and grateful because I've been fucking broke.
Right.
I'm thankful and grateful to have prosperity and abundance, right? Because I've lived on the other side of that track. And this is a lot more fun, I assure you, right? So when we complain and judge, we're sending energy out to the universe that we don't want any more abundance or gifts.
Absolutely.
And on judgment, I want to say just one final thing, and then we can move on to whatever else you want to cover. But, Brené Brown wrote a spectacular book called Rising Strong. She also has a TED Talk it's the number 3 TED Talk of all time about vulnerability.
Wow.
And I'd highly recommend everybody see it. Yeah. But when we push judgment out, and this is a really hard one for all of us, and Tim Ferriss has talked about, the 30-day no complaint challenge. I've never been able to get through the 30 days without complaining about something, right? And so, but this idea that we're judging other people, and we can fall into this trap. It's very easy. Small thinkers like to talk about other people. Big thinkers like to talk about ideas and concepts. So I try to surround myself with people who want to talk about ideas and not about other people.
It's energy. It's what we're talking about.
It is an energy.
High
but when
energy.
Absolutely. But the other thing that judgment, the poison that it creates for us internally is very damaging. And I have to remind myself, and I like to think of it this way: for everyone that you meet, and this is everyone that you meet is suffering from some fucking challenge you don't know anything about. Right? We're all suffering. Suffering is constant. Change is constant. The only people who we think are normal are the people we don't know very well. Because as soon as we get to know them well enough, we're going to figure out they're fucked up too.
Hey, look at the murder-suicide. They were the perfect family, you know? Well,
right,
obviously not.
Right. So the only people who we think are normal
That's a good point.
are the people we don't know very well.
Exactly, yeah.
And so when we go through life filled with judgment, it takes something away from our peace, right? And so if you can approach life, and this is an idea from Brene Brown that I really like, I try to practice it. If you can approach life through this idea that everyone is just doing the best they can, right? Now, whether or not you really truly believe that, if you can internalize that and believe that everyone is just doing the best they can at that time in their circumstance, then you will be judgment free. And that again opens more channel to receive gifts from the universe, because that judgment is also clouding your channels.
Yeah, I think that this part, meditation, and this part you've been talking about here with energy and the universe is the most important thing that we're talking about. And you've just hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's almost like we're on the same wavelength. Maybe that's probably why I kind of gravitated, toward you and all the other guys in the group. I'm the same way. And I was talking to a guy who's kind of one of those more skeptic, technical, scientific guys. And I start talking about spirituality and universe, and you could see in his head, and I said, look, man, this is not anything crazy. I mean, I said, matter is energy. We're talking about energy. And I'm not trying to say that there's some universe out there that's making decisions of like, ooh, I want to bring this guy stuff, and I don't want to bring this guy anything. Like, it's not like a God up there passing judgment. I said it's energy, and energy is attracted to like energy. So you're like a radio station. He's like, if you want to change the music, you change the frequency, and your thoughts and have energy. It's measurable. We can measure that. Your body has energy, gives off energy, and your energy state changes depending on your mood and how you're thinking and what you're concentrating on, etc. And if you have love and gratitude in your heart versus hate, and it's measurable. It's very measurable, and it's also measurable how that affects other people's energy. That stuff is science at this point. And so I said, look, it's the thoughts and the feelings that you have about yourself, about other people, are tuning your radio station, and it's going to attract those type of things. So if you're thinking angry, negative things, you're going to attract that in your life. If you're thinking, I don't know if I can pay the rent, that is a frequency of non-abundance. That is a frequency of I am lacking. Instead of having that frequency tuned into, you know what, I'm so thankful that I have all the money that I need to pay my rent and not have to ever worry about it. Gosh, I'm so thankful for that. That's tuning yourself into that, and it's just the law of energy. Things just move. They don't have past judgment, and that's why it's opening. You talk about opening yourself to abundance. That's what it is. It's tuning your internal antenna to the frequencies that you want in your life. You tune that to that same frequency, and too many times people make the mistake of saying, "I want to do something," or "I will," or "when I have." And they think that's a positive thing. I'm thinking positive. I'm visualizing. People visualize themselves into non-abundance because what they're saying is that I don't currently have those things. They're actually turning their current energy field into one of not having the thing that they want. So it's a very tricky thing. I tell them it's fine to visualize, but when you visualize, in the present moment. Be thankful and grateful for the thing that you want like you have it now. Tune your station to that. Find love. Find love in your heart. Think about things that you do love and that you care about and that you're grateful or thankful for. So you're tuning your internal station to a feeling of love, and that will attract people and love into your life. If you're trying to go get somebody or trying to go get a girl and I really want someone to love, I want to have that relationship where I can put my arm around someone and feel like I have a partner, you're tuning yourself to an energy that says that I don't have those things. I am in lack of love. And you're also creating this like I want, I need, and people sense that. They push away from that. And that's why people say it's almost like, like when you're married, you tend to like, it's like, oh, you get all the girls are coming up to you and talking to you and but then when you're out looking, it never happens. And that's the reason why. It's because they are picking up on your energy of lack and of needing versus your energy of abundance and love. And when you I have this abundance of love, people are attracted to that, and and that's why that happens. It's not voodoo, it's just science. And I mean, if you even get into like quantum physics basically proves everything that we're talking about. I mean, this stuff does not have to be hocus pocus. It's not a magical voodoo god making judgments. It's just a law of energy, and people are shooting themselves in the foot because they're doing things consciously and subconsciously that tune themselves to a frequency to attract the very things they don't want in their life. So I think you just hit the nail on the head, and it was really cool listening to you talk about that, because it's just like you're absolutely right. When anybody comes to me and talks about health and fitness, and usually that's what it's about, how do I lose weight, first thing I do is I start talking about meditation. And when I'm writing this book right now, and the first thing is establishing a meditative practice first, and then everything else comes after that, because that is the glue that binds everything else together. It's
ground zero.
It is.
Nothing's going to be sustainable until we get control of our universe.
Absolutely.
Nothing is going to be sustainable until we get control of our peace, until we open those channels to receive gifts. It's just not going to be sustainable. What's going to happen is you're going to struggle.
Right.
You're going to continue to struggle, and through that struggle, you're going to stop and give up and fail, because you just don't have that power of quiet to ground you. So meditation is absolutely the foundation of all life optimization, in my view. I haven't found anything else that compares or that helps as much. What we know, and as you just alluded to, as we think, we become, right? And when we place appreciation in front of expectation, those gifts will come to us. Yep. So as a part of at the end of my meditative practice every morning, I go through about 5 or 10 minutes of gratefulness, kind of observation, small things, people I'm grateful for, things I'm grateful for.
Tony Robbins does that.
What's that?
Tony Robbins does that. I just watched a thing of that.
Yeah, so it's very helpful. It just keeps me. I am grateful and thank the universe for all the gifts that I receive daily, and it's just a part of my meditative practice, an awareness of gratefulness. And this reminds us, when you train yourself and you have a practice, look, being non-judgmental is fucking hard, right? I mean, we're built in, we're wired to judge things, right? So, I mean, being non-judgmental is difficult. As I freely admitted, I've never been able to get through the no complaint challenge, right? I mean, that's my struggle. That's my, that is my cross to bear. I mean, in trying to always, keep this at the front of my mind. Obviously, the more you focus on it, the more successful you'll be at it. But it just really brings us. It is the foundation for all achievement and all life optimization is to quiet our mind, where we can have open channels to receive what we deserve, because we all deserve these things. We all deserve peace and joy. We're going to all have challenges. We're going to all fall down.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to fall down hard.
Right.
And we're going to have some very dark failures along the path that are going to be, that we think may be the worst thing ever, right? We're all going to have those. I'm going to have another one. You're going to have another one. It's just the way life works. This is the energy of life. We're all going to have bad things happen to us. But when we meditate and when we have peace over our presence, those bad things get minimized, right? And we don't get caught up in the anxiety of that, the trance of anxiety, where we're just fucking thinking the same thing over and over again, and usually nothing we have any control over, right? So what meditation does, as you know, is it gives you the quiet to sort of let those things just rest, right? While you focus on the things you can impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, we could talk.
Yeah.
I know we've gone a little over an hour here.
Yeah.
We could talk a long time about this topic. Actually, for the rest of the afternoon.
Yes.
Right, because there's just a lot to say about it. But yes, if anybody walks away with anything, meditate. I know it's hard. Hang in there. You get there. It's a practice. It's not easy for anybody. The longer you do it, the more you do it, the easier it gets. Yeah,
and one other thing that you mentioned that rang true for me was the idea of compassion. Is to have compassion for people when you see them. You don't know what they're going through. Everyone has their struggles, and to try to see through the surface stuff that's going on and try to feel some sort of love and compassion for people in the world around you, and just
internalizing that thought that they're doing the best they can do.
Yeah, that was great. I really love that line. Great.
Right. When you get somebody cuts you off in traffic, right? You get bad service in a restaurant, or it's one of those two most often for me. Somebody cuts you off in traffic, and you're like, right?
Yeah.
But whatever's going on in that person's life, there's some pain going on there that's causing this behavior. And I just have to remind myself, it's the number one phrase I try to use all the time when these moments happen. I'm sure whatever's going on, that person's doing the best that they can do given their circumstances. And I have no idea what their suffering is or what their life looks like. And I'm sure that they're doing the best they can based on who they are.
That's powerful.
At that moment.
That's real powerful. I mean, that's life-changing, very powerful type of practice. I do a similar thing too, and it's just...
because the power of it is when you remove judgment from your life, you're free of the chains of judgment, right? The chains of judgment are like the trance of self-loathing. It's that inner voice. It just clogs up your channel to receive abundance. Right. Judgment is very nasty.
Absolutely.
And very damaging to you, to me, internally. It doesn't do it. Besides, it doesn't matter. It achieves no improvement on behalf of the other person in the first place.
Yep.
Right? Your judging them isn't achieving anything other than blocking your channels of abundance.
Right.
I mean, compassion is so powerful, man. It's just when you have that moment, just think, you know what? They're doing the best they can.
Yeah.
And at that moment, you'll be free of judgment and you'll be free of that situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brother, I'm going to close up on that. What about it?
Yeah. I really thank you for spending time, and I just, hopefully as many people as possible can see this, because it's just, you just hit on so many amazing things that can really start people down a journey that's going to be life-changing. And I really thank you for your time and your positive energy and your mentorship and friendship. So,
hey, I'm grateful. It's just been an amazing journey, our friendship, and I'm looking forward to many more moons. And it's just you've just been an awesome influence on me. I'm very grateful, and hopefully your viewers will gain something from our talk today.
Oh, I know they will. Thanks a lot, brother.
All right, thanks, man.
Soon.
Take care.